Hey guys, what's up? Toyhouze here with another video, and today I want to talk about Phase 1 Best in Slot Affliction Warlock gear. Now I know this is super niche and probably doesn't apply to like 90% of you, but if you're a Warlock and you're Affliction in the Burning Crusade and you're interested in playing PvE and want to know more about Best in Slot items, this video is for you. And quite frankly, I think this is pretty interesting because, you can go look up a Best in Slot guide, but, quite frankly, it can be kind of overwhelming and it doesn't always tell you where to get certain pieces. So I will do my absolute best to show you exactly where you can get some of these pieces based on my knowledge. And actually, I don't think it's too hard, especially if you're a tailor. So with that said, guys, let's begin with the headpiece moving down. So the Void Heart Crown, this is pretty cool. I obviously love how this looks. It's basically like a Voidwalker helm. It is the best in slot for Affliction Warlocks. So this Void Heart Crown actually drops off Prince Malchezaar. He drops the token for pretty much everyone, actually every class. He gives that tier 4 token. So you have to win that roll, which can be tough against those two other classes, right? But that's where you can get this. Karazhan, the final boss in Karazhan is Prince Malchezaar, and that's where you get this. Of course, these gems you can just purchase off the auction house, and will be pretty easy to get these gems. So moving on to the Adornment of Stolen Souls. This is actually another Karazhan drop, and actually it shows you right here Prince Malchezaar, so nothing too tricky there. Now the Void Heart Mantle, this one drops off of High King Malgar. This is actually kind of cool how his name's Malgar. Do you guys get it? Like a Maul, two-handed mace. He actually does have a mace. I think it's one-handed though. So he drops this, so Gruul's Lair, first boss, right? It's a pack of like 5 ogres. That's where you can get this. Greater Inscription of Discipline, you can get this from basically Scryer, I believe. Yes, so this is a Scryer enchant. And the gems you can get off of the auction house. Now, the Ruby Drape of the Mysticant is Prince Malchezaar again. So you can see for Phase 1 Best in Slot, you're going to be running Karazhan quite a bit and trying to get a lot of this stuff. Enchant you can just purchase. It's Subtlety, decrease your threat by 2%. As you've probably noticed by playing Warlock, threat is a constant thing you have to worry about, even with Soul Shatter, even with Salvation now for the Horde. Warlocks generate a ton of threat. Actually, even with the Affliction talent to reduce Affliction, threat generation by 10%, you still worry about threat. So make sure to have that threat meter if you're PvEing. The Void Heart Robe, another tier piece. This one actually drops off Magtheridon, the token. And so definitely that's just pretty straightforward. Buy these gems as well as this enchant off the auction house. So that's the Great Dawnstone, the Veiled Noble Topaz ×2. I'll also put a link to this in the description below if you want to take a look at this. This is the Wowhead TBC guide. Bracers of Havoc. This is where we're starting to get into tailoring territory. So if you're a tailor, this is where I think things will become much easier for you. This pattern is not trained, however, from a trainer. This is a pattern that is found. So right now on my server, if you want to purchase the pattern, it'll be about 700 gold, but it's not too difficult to craft once you have the pattern, but I suppose that is half the battle. And then you can just gem this with 4 spell hit rating and 5 spell damage. Now, if you're looking at some of these gems, you're probably noticing that we're gemming a lot of hit rating. Now, hit rating is super important for Warlocks, really for many classes right now. If you've noticed, a lot of the mobs are resisting, you're missing a lot. Hit rating is super important for everyone. So you can see, spell hit rating is all over the place, and that's a common theme within our Phase 1 Best in Slot gear. The Void Heart Gloves, this actually drops off of Prince Malchezaar once again, so Karazhan is super important, and the Enchant Gloves major spell power, not too hard to create, but again, you can just find an enchanter to do that for you. Now, the Blood Maw Magus Blade, this drops off Gruul the Dragon Killer, pretty straightforward, the final boss in Gruul's Lair. Hopefully you can get it, enchant it with Soul Frost, which will add 54 damage to Frost and Shadow spells. That's a cool enchant, actually, very, very cool. And then we can move on to Khadgar's Knapsack. Now you can see here it does not show where it drops from, and that's because it does not drop at all, actually. This actually is purchased with Badges of Justice, so another reason, if you saw my last video, to go ahead and get those heroic dailies done, grind those heroic dungeons, to go ahead and pick up that Knapsack as soon as possible. Now, this Iridar Wand of Obliteration, to be totally honest, I think they switched this up on me because I totally did not see this before, but this drops off of Magtheridon, pretty straightforward there. Best in slot as well. Now, the Girdle of Ruination, again, doesn't have who it drops from. This is actually a tailor-crafted item. Basically, you have to find the recipe, craft it yourself. It can be a little hard to get to find, but at least you can guarantee yourself getting it. Like, if you have enough gold, see, here's a reason why, if you've seen the last, 4 videos I made on gold guides, getting gold is going to help you so much with getting your best in slot gear. So this is craftable. So if you're tailor, you can buy the pattern and then craft it yourself, or it'll probably be thousands if you just want to buy it straight up, right? Now, moving on to spellstrike pants, it's the same exact deal. This is a tailoring recipe. I actually don't have any of these recipes yet, to be honest. Actually, I do have the next one, but spoiler alert. So you can see, again, we're gemming hit rating and spell damage. Spellstrike pants, you can't find it at the trainer. You got to go ahead and find someone who has the pattern, or find the pattern yourself. The pattern actually drops off Murmur in Shadow Labs normal, so highly recommend farming that either for rep or for attunement. Any of that stuff, just do Shadow Labyrinth as much as possible. I always thought it was like Shadow Laboratory, because everyone calls it Shadow Labs, but it's Labyrinth, Shadow Labyrinth. The runic spell thread is a tailoring embroidery. This, in order to learn this recipe, which you can purchase from a vendor, you actually have to be exalted with scryers. So if it isn't obvious yet, I highly recommend the scryers as the warlock choice over Aldor for a couple of different reasons. The shoulder enchant gives you more spell power, and then of course you get the runic spell thread rather than the healing spell thread that Aldor gets. So highly recommend scryer. Little bonus tip there for you. So there's the runic spell thread. Again, you have to be exalted, and it also requires a primal nether, which you will get at the end of a heroic dungeon, or even a normal dungeon. I feel like the last boss sometimes drops primal nethers. Yeah. Anyways, it will require a primal nether. Moving on to the Frozen Shadow Weave boots. So you will have to be a Shadow Weave tailor in order to create this. And I think maybe even to wear it. Yeah, it's bind when picked up. So yeah, you have to be a Shadow Weave tailor for this. But it is the best in slot. You can see it adds 57 increased damage done by shadow spells. You're going to want to enchant it with minor speed and +9 stamina. So that's Boar's speed right there. We can see spell damage and stamina, as well as hit rating, because we have a yellow socket and a blue socket. These again are craftable. You can actually purchase this recipe from the Frozen Shadow Weave Specialization Tailoring Trainer in Shatrath, in the bottom right hand of Shatrath. Shouldn't be too hard for you to get. Now, the Ring of Recurrence, this is one that will be extremely hard for you to get. So guys, honestly, don't go crazy trying to get this. This has like a 5% drop chance off a dusty chest in Karazhan. It will be very hard to get this, in my opinion, but check those chests in Karazhan, cross your fingers, hopefully you can get this. Now, the Band of Crimson Fury, however, is a completely different story. The Band of Crimson Fury can be acquired from the head of Magtheridon. So if your guild has cleared Magtheridon and you get the head, it is begins a quest. The quest turn in very similar to Onyxia or Blackwing. The head you get a turn in, and this is your best in slot, the Band of Crimson Fury. So Magtheridon's head, definitely something you're going to want to get in order to get this ring. Now, moving on to the icon of the Silver Crescent. Again, this one could be confusing because, oh my OMG, where does it drop? Well, it actually drops. It doesn't drop. It is purchased using Badges of Justice. So I think it's something like 40 or so quite a bit. But this is a excellent trinket. As you can see, just by equipping, you get 43 damage and healing done by magical spells and effects. It also has a use effect that increases it by another 155 for 20 seconds. So very nice trinket. And our last item of the day is the Quagmiran's Eye. Now, I'm sure you've seen tons of warlocks running heroic slave pens. Well, it drops in heroic slave pens, and this is the reason people are going to say, oh, this is on reserve, blah, blah, blah. You can see here it actually says dropped by Quagmiran. It is, but make sure it's heroic because he only drops it on heroic version of slave pens. So this one's amazing because it has a nice proc chance that will increase your spell haste rating by 320, as well as increases damage and healing done by 37 just by equipping it. There's a 45-second internal cooldown, by the way, on that proc, and that proc chance is 10%, which is quite high if you ask me. So this is a amazing trinket. Highly recommend you get it, and it's the only blue that you'll actually have. You can see actually all of these are epics besides this blue trinket. So And it comes from a heroic, so it should be somewhat easy. So I would say Ring of Recurrence is going to be the hardest for you to get. The other stuff should be doable, especially if you have gold, such as, you know, the Spellstrike, Pants, the Frozen Shadow, we have the Girdle of Ruination, and the Bracelets of Havoc, all tailoring items that shouldn't be too hard to get. So with that said, guys, I hope you learned something. I hope this was helpful. Again, I'm going to put this in the description below, and I'll try to pin it in the comments so that you can check this out, dig a little deeper if you want to. But this will set you on the right path if you're a warlock who is looking to go Affliction and PvE. Affliction Warlocks and PvE, by the way, are extremely helpful because of Malediction. They offer that 5% damage reduction as well as increasing 3% effectiveness of Curse of Elements, among other things. Affliction Warlocks are definitely excellent utility to have in the Burning Crusade. Hey guys, that's the end of another video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a like. If you want more World of Warcraft content, don't forget to subscribe. My name's Toyhouze, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.